Hello, I am Fehmina Nawaz and I have been in conversation with Victoria Jaquiss about steel pans and inclusion. We met 17 years ago when I joined her band, the Leeds Silver Steel Sparrows. With the Sparrows, we won the Music for Youth World Music Award, playing at both the Royal Albert Hall and Royal Festival Hall. Victoria Jaquiss originally taught English, PSC and music at Foxwood School, Leeds. While there, she took on 2 secondments. With inclusion specialist Jan Holstock, she learned to teach music to whole classes of people with diverse needs and learning styles. And with educational psychologist Mick Pitchford, she studied a complex yet effective method of behaviour management for classes that included children with challenging behaviour. Realising the 2 main methods of teaching music, Western notation and oral tradition, didn't suit everyone, she set about creating an aid memoir, which would mean that students with different needs and abilities could play music meaningfully together. These became the Foxwood Songsheets, which we discussed in our conversation. And this combination of the songsheets and steel pans opened up a world of music making to thousands of students over the years in Leeds, around the UK and even in Lille. Victoria moved to the music service in 1996, becoming head of steel pans and second in charge of inclusive music, dividing her time between teaching pans to all and music generally to children and young adults with emotional and behavioural problems. She also did steel pan workshops in other settings, including children homes, youth offending units and secure psychiatric units. Victoria published the Foxwood Songsheets in 2002 and also co-wrote Including Send in the Curriculum, published Routledge in 2005.
Thanks, Fehmina. I only want to add that the personal experience of being a constant outsider, for example, attending 5 different primary schools in 4 different counties, was fundamental in how I approached being a teacher. Plus, I am, as the autistic campaigners describe it, and as we all are, differently wired, and I know how cruel a world can be when educators don't make the effort to discover their students' learning styles, preferences or needs. We all learn in our own nuanced ways, and after all, education, formal or otherwise, is about the student, not the teacher, whose position it is, or should be, to empower and enable. As for steel pans, my experience is that children who are thought of as hard to reach can and do reach dizzying heights of virtuosity on them, and this is partly the nature of the instrument and partly a combination of written and oral learning methods.
We hope you enjoy our conversation and find it food for thought. It ended up as a personal journey of inclusion for us both, but we think none the worse for that. Hi, I'm Fehmina Nawaz, talking here with Victoria Jaquiss, and we are going to be talking about her contention, which is that steel pans is simply the best musical instrument for inclusion. Firstly, just tell me what you mean by inclusion.
Well, I generally say that inclusion doesn't mean everybody doing the same thing at the same time in the same room, but everyone having equal opportunities to achieve their best, to discover what they find enjoyable or meaningful or satisfying, finding out whatever it is that makes them tick. Pans are the best music for inclusion, and I possibly would include other world instruments here as well. You just have to tap it or hit it or let your hand drop on it. That's it. But what steel pans have over other instruments such as djembes or samba bands is that they have pitch, and what steel pans have over marimbas etc. is they have bigger, more accessible notes. In actual fact, when I was 7, I was planning on being the next Cliff Richard or whoever it was around at the time, going to school where again I am an outsider, singing along with the rest of the choir in the class ready for the concert. The teacher taps me and 2 others on the shoulder and tells us to stop singing, and I think, yes, I'm going to be the queen here. But I wasn't the queen. I was told that I couldn't sing in tune and therefore I wasn't going to the concert. But my conclusion from that is, if I'd have followed my original dreams and done music, I might have been a better musician, but this way I'm definitely a better teacher.
So I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here, but do you not think it's kinder to let those who are less gifted not follow down the musical path? Or
Well, if I go back to my school experience, at the age of 7, my teacher could have taught me to sing in tune. And if somebody comes along with less talent than others, maybe we should just have to unlock it. I'm not precious about pans in that sense. I chose them for their inclusivity, but I enjoy playing pans, and I also still enjoy playing the piano.
What would you say makes steel pans so inclusive when you're learning steel pans? Or specifically when you teach steel pans?
Yeah. Well, I did realise that the traditional way to teach Western music was through Western notation, and then the traditional way to teach steel pans was through the visual oral method. I devised, yes, you've got them here.
I came prepared.
I devised a system of notation in which you use what you already know, which is, well, for most people, and still not for everybody, but it's the first 7 letters of the alphabet.
Until I got introduced to Foxwood Songsheets that I really found my confidence in playing. Just the beauty of being able to pick that up and sight read it, it really is made far more accessible with the way that the music flowed out.
Thank you, thank you.
So, no, thank you for putting it out into the world.
Thanks.
So, I want to bring it back to the carnival for a moment. So, what would you say, how would you describe a carnival experience?
Well, steel pans came from Trinidad. They were coming over with the Windrush generation anyway, but basically they exploded into this country with Tasper when they played for the Festival of Britain. And then Sonny Roach, who was one of the players, who actually sadly was ill himself on the day, so he didn't play, but he was one of the players, and he said after we leave, all English men, and obviously he meant English women, would play a steel pan.
Would you say it's somewhat of a spiritual experience sometimes?
When you're all playing something you know very well, you've rehearsed very well, and you're in the right place and the right condition, it's amazing. You can really get into that zone.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been there with you.
Yeah. So if I can make a comment here myself, music or learning music is not about musical excellence or teaching somebody who's going to be a professional musician. It's the meaningful joint experience, playing in an ensemble with other people, ensemble from the French, together, that feeling of togetherness, a sense of identity belonging to the group. I know that music does give you other things intellectually and physically, but I don't think we take on music in our personal life to develop motor skills or get our little grey cells working. In fact, Mina, can I ask you a question? Why do you play music?
I would say that I was always interested in music, mostly because of the way it made me feel. And as an adult, I'd probably describe it as some sort of therapy. So if I feel a certain type of way, or I'm not feeling great in myself, I can retire to my music. I can play something. It gives me confidence. It makes me feel good, and I just enjoy it. But I would say the moment that I met you was was funnily enough at the age of 15 for work experience, and you sort of threw me into the deep end there at Wharfdale Festival. And what was amazing was I was able to just pick up your music, take a look at the pan that I was playing, use the colour coding to know exactly where I needed to be for my notes, and it was an amazing experience. And it was then that I realised as a kid, as a brown kid at council estate, coming from a family that couldn't really afford music lessons or anything like that, there was actually a route for me into music, which was my school held music lessons for free, and you were one of those teachers. You taught steel pans there, and I'm extremely blessed to obviously have met you at that point, but also to have been asked to play with you going forward.
Yeah. I remember that day very well. You were sitting in reception at the West Park Centre, and someone said, your work experience students here, and there you were.
And you know, it's funny looking back. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, but going and joining our band, it exposed me to a whole new world of friends. And there's friends that I have today that I met years ago exactly through this route.